guys. Hi. Hi guys. So, I know it's been a long time since I've done this. A lot of you who are still subscribed to my channel might see this in your subscription tab on YouTube and be like, what is this fucker doing? Why are we doing this again? And I ask myself the same question. I truly do. But there are a couple of reasons why I didn't upload. Number one, didn't want to. Number two, I was in high school. So it's weird to cuss and make yucky jokes in high school when I was a good guy. I was a good little boy. I wasn't going to swear in front of my mom, let alone on the internet. Now, I'm a shocking guy. Really fucking terrifying guy. So we're gonna try and do this again. And I wanted to do stuff that I actually find interesting and that I can actually talk about. Cause yeah, plot twist, I'm not a fashion guy, okay? I'm at varsity, UCT, studying linguistics and Chinese. Sounds boring to you, it's not boring to me, that's why I do it. So, in this video, is my first foray into 2023 and my reinvented YouTube career. I'm going to do the political compass. Why? Because it's interesting. There's a lot of stuff to talk to there. And I think it'll be fun because I haven't taken it in a while. There is a disclaimer though. This is not an invitation for discourse in the comments. This is not a conversation. No, I'm talking at you. You can be like, oh, this is funny, this is cool, but I don't want it, nothing else, okay? So if I see snippets of this on someone's Instagram story and y'all are trying to cancel me, the Twitter gays are trying to take me down because I did the political compass. My political leanings are left, very leftist. There is no, there's no doubt about that. That I know. They are leftist. And not necessarily liberal. So, I just call myself a leftist. In fact, the first time I truly thought about politics and what I believed in personally was when I was 15 and I was in a history class and we were having a debate about the Cold War. And I say the Cold War, it was the space race, we were 15. Then my teacher's like, oh, the USA won this space race because they got to the moon first. And I was like, but didn't the Soviets put the first person in orbit, first satellite into space, first, a whole bunch of firsts that were foundational, and then the Americans could just send someone to the moon, based on Soviet trial and error. So I kind of sided with them. And then some guy in my class goes, you're a socialist Rottweiler. As in oh, I'm mean and I pull no punches and I'm aggressive in my socialism. Instead of taking that as an insult, I was like, I have not done this in so long that I'm trying to figure out how to record a screen. This is super fun. Okay. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Yes. Yes. So, I'm gonna say I strongly agree because it's humans that make up corporations, so why feed a corporation if a corporation is a made-up concept? It's an abstract. It doesn't get hungry. It doesn't be full. It's not like a human. So yeah, strongly agree. There's not much to explain there, to be honest. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. I wouldn't. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. It's just, yeah, it's funny because there is this perceived loyalty that people have to their country, but I'm a terrible example because I don't feel loyal to my country at all. I'm I was born here, I live here, it's cool. But yeah, that's it, okay. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I disagree. I really disagree. Like, while I'm not the most patriotic guy, if you're not proud of the place that you're in and like the country that forms your identity, your cultural identity or your ethnic identity, like what is there to be proud of? Because it's geographical locations that birth ethnicities and that birth cultures. So I'm gonna say strongly disagree. Oh, our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. Like, no. No. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So, I know that a regular person would say, no, that's just a person. But if I was a world leader, I'm toxic. I'm really toxic. So I'm gonna say yeah. Yeah. Because also, like, I'm trying to think of it in a leftist point of view. If you had a leftist country and a leftist country, then the more like conservative nations would be against both of us. So technically, my friend is already the enemy of my enemy. Like, if I was sitting in the Soviet Union in the 1960s and Cuba was the enemy of the US, then I was already friends with Cuba. So we're both enemies of the US. So I'm gonna say strongly agree, because oftentimes if you are under a particular ideological system and another country is concurrent with that ideological system, the countries that disagree with that are going to hate you both equally. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Strongly agree. Yes, there absolutely is. I say this as a person who does comedy on occasion, stand-up comedy. If you are getting your political news and reviews from comedians, it's time to step back a little bit, because fundamentally, while it might be entertaining, comedians aren't, for the most part, trained to talk about politics. And when I say comedians, I also mean people like Trevor Noah on The Daily Show. Unless they have a background that solidifies the validity of their opinions or their attitudes, I say that it is a worrying intersection, because you don't know what is actual formal information and what is just meant to be entertaining or satire. Next question. People are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. Strongly agree. I would strongly agree with that. A lot of the time also, the differences between certain nationalities are usually based on class. So if you put a Czech person next to a German person, the national fabric is going to look different and the international prejudice is going to look different, simply because of the histories of both of those countries and the current economic situations that they are both in and how they might contrast. So yes, definitely divided more by class than nationality. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Yeah, I'm gonna say strongly disagree, because at the end of the day, I won't claim to be an economist or even close. I have a very, very basic understanding of economics and world finance. But one of my core values is to value the human beings, the laborers, the workers, over financial systems that may well have been built like in direct contrast to the people that hold it up. Next question. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Strongly agree. Yes, corporations are not going to voluntarily inhibit their profits easily. Like, at the end of the day, they're not there. Corporations are not there, and they have not made money by protecting humanity or by protecting their stakeholders. They do that very much as a byproduct to save face. So absolutely, regulate. Like, yes, government involvement, third-party involvement, independent body involvement. Involve people, please. Don't just let corporations run off by themselves, like Nestle, okay? From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. Now, this maxim is a Marxist maxim, and it basically means, it means what it says. It means if one person can work hard and another person is ailed and cannot, but needs support, needs financial/economic support, should that person which is more able to work, should they in some way be liable to support a person who is not able to work? I would say yes, because it is not, I strongly agree with it, but I strongly agree with it because it's not as simple as that. It's not literally, oh no, that's my salary, it's being taken away from me, meh. It's a wider system. It's a wider system of welfare, it's a wider system of the relationship that a citizen has with the state. Everybody should be able to feel protected and supported by the state. It is not one person without protection and support and one person with all of it. Not how that works. And it's a circle. As soon as that person is no longer able to work, the current workers will support that person, and so on and so on. A circle. The freer the market, the freer the people. No. Strongly fucking disagree. No. The freer the market, first of all, the free market is a fallacy. We know this. Because even left to their own devices, monopolies, duopolies, and oligarchies will form, and thus the market is no longer free. But the freer the market, or the more lucrative the market, the freer the people at the top are, and the more tightly controlled by the system the people at the very bottom are, who make up the foundation of this entire pyramid of wealth. So yeah, strongly disagree. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. Yes, strongly agree. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. It depends on... So I know that this isn't referring to personal private property, because often when leftists talk about the abolition of private property, people who aren't leftists go, oh my god, my house. So I'm going to say I disagree. You know what? Strongly disagree. Because, yeah, my utopia is very much a city-planned environment where there are agricultural zones, production zones, residential zones, where land is doled out in proportion to the needs of the people who live and work on it. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Yes. The rich are too highly taxed. I'm just gonna say strongly disagree. There is no explanation necessary. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. No. 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 Speaking as a South African with historical major health issues, the idea of higher standards of medical care in this country is oftentimes false. Because what we call higher standards here means prettier wallpaper, nicer linen, and a shorter wait time. The only thing that is really important is a shorter wait time. The rest is all superfluous. And when private hospitals with infinitely higher tariffs and bills couldn't treat certain aspects of my illness, and a government hospital could, one realizes that just because one hasn't been repainted in 30 years doesn't mean that the other is infinitely superior. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Strongly dis-a-fucking-agree. Okay. No. Do what you want. I don't care for the children. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not the person to ask. Do what you want. We don't need more. We do not need more. Have you been in traffic? There are enough people, okay? Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Strongly disagree. Sorry. I know there are a lot of education haters out here nowadays. I'm not one of those people. I'm sorry. I understand that there are so many situations where an adapted classroom environment is necessary, and by all means that too. But a national education system that serves the majority does work. And yes, I support. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. This is a South African opinion that we're about to hear. I was not beaten as a child. I was not smacked as a child. Was I clipped around the ear as a child and sent to my room? Yes. Yes, I was. Do I think that younger children with more softer, who have grown up with more soft parenting methods are worse behaved, less polite, more annoying? Yes. Yes, I do. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. When they are children, where there is no discipline, there is no learning, in my view. There is certainly a time to be subversive, but, you know, subversion only works once you know the system, and once you can only break the rules once you know them. So I'd say agree. I don't think it's the most like be all and end all important thing to learn, but it's definitely up there. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Strongly disagree. Like, no. If a government says, oh no, it's fine, rubber manufacturer, you can belch loads of emissions into the environment. It's fine. That is not good for anybody except business. And if business isn't benefiting people, then why? You know? A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay process in a democratic political system. So I know that we're meant to be... I'm answering this from a utopian point of view. Zizek once said, he's a lovely man, please search him up after me.
Sorry, seriously, can I give you some fucking fruit juice?
I do strongly agree, because if in an ideal space, a one-party government is formed under an ideology that is formulated to serve everybody, then it would be hundreds of times more efficient, if not thousands of times. We know that the most effective form of government in terms of efficiency and satisfaction is a benign dictatorship. This is a fact. The crucial word is benign, when nobody gets hurt, but that is just the most efficient form of government, and it makes sense. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Agree. I'm not an anarchist. There has got to be governance. Or speaking as a leftist, there needs to be governance until society has graduated past the need for governance. But speaking for society as it is now, hell yes, there has to be governance. I'm not an anarchist. I'm really sorry to all of my anarchists in the audience. You're wonderful, I'm sure. But yeah, no. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I disagree, however, not strongly disagree, because a really big part of what art is its representation and the meaning behind it. So if art is simply an image or a visual or any sort of sensory aspect to be enjoyed, that doesn't represent anything, then it's not really art, it's design, because it's designed or created to sell as opposed to agitate or to get one to think. But I also do keep in mind, like Andy Warhol, whose art was designed to be mass-produced and designed to be anti-art, because that in itself said something about art, and it questioned society's view on what art actually is. Astrology accurately explains many things. Many is pushing it, so I will say disagree. Some things, yeah, maybe, but not many. You cannot be moral without being religious. I disagree. I know people who are not religious who are perfectly moral. I do think that, speaking as a religious person, I feel like if you feel that you are being held accountable by something other than yourself that you don't necessarily understand, that can be a very powerful thing for some people, hence not strongly disagree. But you certainly can be agnostic or atheist and still be moral. Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Disagree. Charity is wonderful, but charity I view as a band-aid over a gaping wound. These are societal issues that shouldn't have to be aided by third parties. It should be a collective responsibility, either or both, by the people and their government to work out the majority of these problems. So yeah, disagree. Some people are naturally unlucky. Unlucky? Born into, like, circumstances that put them in a place of disadvantage? Yes. So, yes, agree. I'm not saying strongly agree because I'm not sure about the use of the word unlucky. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. Well, it's usually immoral, but it's not immoral, if you catch my drift. No, it's not, no. No. Stupid. Same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Have you met gay people? You want them to have children? They should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Strongly agree. It's art. Simply art. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Completely. Strongly agree. No one can feel naturally homosexual. If no one can feel naturally homosexual, then I'm one hell of a method actor, so strongly disagree. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. Disagree, but not strongly disagree. The vast majority of conversations about sex and sexuality these days, I would argue, are very important. But there are some fringe things where I'm like, that's cool, but maybe not on television. Like, why do we need to know that you like to dress up as a pony? Like, that's awesome. Super happy for you. Carry on doing what you're doing. I will fight for your right to do so. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the time in cases like that, it cheapens the whole vibe. Yeah, it cheapens their identity and what they stand for. Okay, so yeah, I'm not surprised. So yeah, it's quite conducive to my identity of being a leftist and not necessarily specifying orth or lib. But I did say that I'm not really that liberal in that sense. So yeah, this makes perfect sense. Yeah. It's a really, really interesting quiz. It's a really interesting exercise to sit down with yourself and do, and to figure out what you think, because it's not just political, it's also moral, and it really seeks to give one an expanded view of their social standpoint, and their outlook. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. This has been awesome. I hope to see you in the next one really, really soon. Ciao.